Everybody ready? Okay, this meeting is called to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. The Elkhart Promise. Every student is known by name, challenged and supported by highly effective staff, and in partnership with the community will graduate career, college, and life ready. Okay, our invitation to speak protocol. Okay, I want to make sure I have this right. If you're in the room, you have the opportunity to fill out the white paper that you can get from Mrs. Ott. You will present that to her, and at the end of the meeting, we will call you up in which you will say your name, your address, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. If you are outside of the room, you have the opportunity to send it.
There is a link on the Facebook page that has the YouTube link.
Okay.
We'll allow them to fill out a form. We'll need their phone number to basically call them into the meeting.
Okay.
And they'll be on the screen for you here.
Okay. Okay. So on the Facebook page, there is a link to the YouTube that you will have the opportunity to fill out the form. We will need a telephone number so that they can call you to bring you into the meeting so you can present yourself. Correct? Okay. All right, fantastic. So our consent items that we will vote on will be the minutes, claims, gift acceptance, fundraiser, and personnel report. Because everybody is not in the room as board members, we will do a roll call. That will be different when we go to motion, second, and vote. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion from the board? Which would be Sue, the gift acceptance? Yeah.
I'd like to report our gift acceptances. We have the Rex and Alice Martin Foundation has donated $25,000 to be used for the fundraising of the new music apparel for Elkhart High School bands, choirs, and orchestras. A second donation of $3,000 was made by Don and Gerard Graybill family for the Elkhart High School music department to assist in the purchase of music apparel.
Okay. We have a motion and second and discussion from the board. Any other discussion? Fantastic. Roll call.
Doug Weaver,
Aye.
Babette Bowling,
Aye.
Nyberg,
Aye.
Troy Scott,
Aye.
Rocky Enfield,
Aye.
Carolyn Morris,
Aye.
Kelly Mullen.
Aye. Okay, next we have the special presentations in which we will have 4 schools that will present to us their school improvement planning process. I just want to let everybody know that when this originally was brought to the table by a board member, this was prior to everything that happened in March. The importance of understanding and knowing what is happening inside the school. So this has been an additional job for all of our administrators at the different schools to put this together and present it to us. And it's been an awful lot that we've asked, but it's been wonderful to see and have the public to see how hard our administrators are working. So before we even start, it's once again a thank you to each of you because you're already so busy. There's so many things going on, and to do this after a full day of trying to keep your schools functioning, from the bottom of our heart, we appreciate everything that you're doing, and it is a thank you from the public also. So in saying that, our first presentation will be from Beardsley. Oh.
Hello, everybody. We are live here from Beardsley Elementary School, and a big thank you to you as well, to Dr. Thalheimer and all of our Elkhart Community Schools employees and staff, and to you, to our gracious board. So it's our pleasure to be able to present to you what we're doing this year at Beardsley Elementary. So I do have the distinct honor to introduce our guiding coalition. And we have quite a large guiding coalition. We felt it was very important to represent all aspects of our building. So our first member is Kim Wallace, and she's a kindergarten teacher, and you can see that we have a lot of teacher leadership, which we are very, very, very committed to, building that capacity of leadership within our building. So Kim Wallace, kindergarten teacher, and she's on our equity committee. We also have Anita Pratt. She's our first grade teacher. She's also on our guiding coalition, and she helps with the coaching piece of PLC. We have Amy Matthews. She is a second grade teacher. She is also on the MTSS team. We have Donna Mazura. She's represents our third grade team. We have Paige Adams. She is a fourth grade teacher, and she's also our math committee chair. We have Kim Williams, and she's a fifth grade teacher, high ability coordinator, and on our equity committee. And just as a side note, Donna and Kim Williams will also be presenting partially tonight as well. We have Tracy Thompson, who represents our sixth grade. We have Mike Clemens, who represents sixth grade and ETA and also is on our equity committee. We have Emily Moyer, who's an interventionist, and Mike Clemens and Emily will also be part of our presentation this evening. We have Melanie Watson, who is an EL teacher, and she focuses on our primary grades. We also have Nicole Martinez. She's an EL teacher as well, and she focuses on our intermediate grade levels, and she's also a tech ambassador. We have Shauna Dickerhoof. She is a parent who we hired right off of the playground, and did we hit pay dirt when we acquired Shauna. So she's a parent for a very long time. She's our PTO president, and she's also a paraprofessional, and she will also be presenting this evening. We have Jan Simmons. She represents our paraprofessionals, and she's on the equity committee. We have Ruben Nieto the second, and he is our community partner affiliated with Boys and Girls Club. We have Brooke Murray, who is our social worker. We have Cindy Gilbert, who's our parent support person, and she will be presenting as well this evening. We have Melissa Fisher, our behavior interventionist, who also will be presenting this evening. We have Beth Williams, and I think you all know her, Director of Federal Programming. Of course, we have Nicole Surge, my right-hand gal, and she is our assistant principal and will, of course, be presenting this evening. And then myself, Val Priller, the principal, which is my it's a big honor to be the principal here at Beardsley. Such a great group. And I believe Donna is next. Oh, jeez. I'm sorry, Emily.
Yes, I thought that wasn't mine, but
You are right. It is Emily Moyer.
Okay, for our collective commitments, number one, we establish a positive, respectful, and safe learning working environment. And the staff at Beardsley, we follow all the COVID safety procedures. We're committed to the Pride program through Elkhart Community Schools. We incorporate the PACS behavior system, and we like that it's research-based and that it teaches the students self-management skills by using games and prizes to make their classroom peaceful and productive. Number two, we implement the current culturally responsive effective practice. And we have our own equity team that meets monthly. And right now they're discussing an action plan for the staff. Number three, collaborate to form a common mindset and continue to learn and grow. Well, the PLC process for us is working really well. Our teams meet weekly, if not daily. We focus and discuss students' growth with their essential standards in math and language arts. And number four, provide high, common, clear, consistent, purposeful expectations. Well, Beardsley has very high expectations. Even through the regulations of COVID, we are conducting business as usual. Whether students are virtual or hybrid, they're getting whole group and small group instruction. They have reading and math interventions, EL instruction, and push-in support. So Beardsley is truly dedicated to our students' success.
And I was chosen to let you know what our mission statement is and our vision. And so our Beardsley Elementary mission is that all means all, growing the whole child. We want to help children grow emotionally, socially, and also obviously academically. And we want them to become active, responsible community leaders. And we strive really hard to meet this goal because we know how important it is. Our elementary vision is that Beardsley is a safe student learning environment where staff and students work collaboratively to create a culturally diverse and responsive atmosphere where students thrive and grow. And we're seeing that even still with the 2 days on and the 2 days off. And so we're really seeing this happening still.
We have several strengths within our Beardsley PLCs. We meet once a week using PLC's best practices rubric to evaluate data sources that drive our discussions and our actions. At the beginning of the year, we chose a common structural format to utilize building-wide to organize our data and professional practices for each team's collaboration. Beardsley has an abundance of caring, qualified staff, from pairs to principals with leadership abilities, ready to do what it takes to improve student academic performance. And I think that shows by all the people who are stepped up to just present tonight too.
All right, so what's next for Beardsley? First, we're working with 2 different consultants, one from Solution Tree and the other from the Equitable Education Solutions. These consultants shift the support they need to give us based on the results from our current needs assessment. Second, we are using data analysis to find research-based strategies to help our students reach mastery and beyond. Third, we are setting, reviewing, and reflecting on SMART goals for each unit of study in every grade level. And last, we are using the data from common formative assessments within each grade level to improve our professional practices.
You look at this inner circle right here on your left. This is our ELA proficiency. And so out of 172 students, we had 30 pass. And out of that, which Val will go into more of the growth piece in our next goal. But you can see here, you know, we had high growth, standard growth, and low growth. But if we look at our chunk right here of the students that did not pass, we had a lot. We had high growth and we had standard growth, but we need to reduce this. And same with our math proficiency. Our math proficiency must increase. Bottom line, ELA and math proficiency must increase. And you can see our growth, which Val, of course, will go into more detail on. So our first focus area, obviously, is proficiency. And our goal is for Beardsley Elementary, 28% of students achieving proficiency in ELA and 32% of students achieving proficiency in math as measured by the iLearn assessment by June of 2021. And so as we look at the data, and I mentioned this earlier, Beardsley is in need of a guaranteed and viable curriculum in alignment with Indiana academic standards, ELA, math, employability skills, and social emotional competencies to ensure students attain the knowledge and skills necessary to demonstrate proficiency on iLearn. And you can see our hypothesis the units of study delivered during the 2018-2019 school year were not rigorous or not aligned with the Indiana academic standards, thus not preparing our students for grade level mastery and beyond. And so to remedy that, we have our action plan, and you can see we have 3 steps. PLCs will develop rigorous units of study reflective of previously identified priority Indiana academic standards, with consideration of the 2020 standards updates, inclusive of the core curricular elements. And then our second step would be PLCs will engage in a process of developing proficiency scales and refine current common formative assessments to effectively identify student mastery as part of a balanced and comprehensive assessment system. And then our final, action plan for focus area 1 is to model, engage, and monitor PLCs to ensure reflection and continuous improvement.
So, and with some of our work with our consultants, they are helping us along with this. And one of the things that we stress with all of the consultants that we're working with is Beardsley staff has worked very hard on developing some amazing units of study. And so it's definitely working with them to fine tune the work that's already been done. So that's just a note for you. So the next part is our growth. And I can tell you with full certainty that growth within our students is extremely important. And so I think it's good to note here that in 2017, we were really on a pretty good trend, especially in the English language arts area. If you look at, especially the language arts, where most of our students achieved typical or high growth. If you take a look at that blue in 2017, it was some significant growth. Our math is pretty, we had too much low growth, if you will. Okay. And then when we shift over to 2018, again, that was the year that we changed assessments, but still the number of kids that they achieved low growth was way too much, especially in math. We a little bit held our own. We lost too many kids on high growth, et cetera, et cetera. And then when you shift over to 2019, we recovered a tiny bit in math, but then we lost in language arts. So this is the data that led us to our next slide, which will go into the goals and what the data told us. So basically, I could read you the goal for goal number 2, but really, essentially what we're trying to do is to get more students to achieve high growth and to get less students to achieve low growth. So that's the whole entire piece of that goal. And we, of course, the slide before, the data told us that we are in need of an instructional model that encompasses those high yield instructional practices. And we are working at that that is our PLC team focus. So we're working at that because we know that we have a lot of the answers right in our school. We know that. And so we're finding ways to know what those high yield practices are. And of course, working with our colleagues around our district, but also with our consultants. So as you can see, what we think is that we're not giving the rigor that we need, and or we're not aligned with what the Indiana academic standards is requiring. And so therefore we need the strategies that we use for learning clearly didn't hit those areas in which our students could achieve that high growth. So we're working really hard on that. So what we're doing, I talked about it a little bit, but we're within our PLC practice, we are learning from one another. That's the biggie. We are learning from one another, not just in our grade levels. We're also learning from other grade levels, which is really key to know that articulation, from one grade level to the next. And so we're also trying very hard to keep a pulse on everything through NWEA, which is we're now just getting those first scores in, and also Mosaic, which was Scoop Pad. So we're looking at those things and really trying to keep a pulse on the growth. And another thing that is very important to us is walkthroughs. That is something that we just to go in and give that informal feedback and to see kids learning and see all that hard work going on.
One thing that Beardsley is committed to improving is student attendance. Student attendance is obviously very important for success, growth, for all of our goals. This data here shows us that the model attendee rate for Beardsley does need some improvement, as that is that orange line there. In terms of model attendees are described as demonstrating persistent attendance or improving their attendance during the school year. Now, not only are we monitoring this, but this has been a really big team effort from teachers calling home, from providing incentives, to principals and social worker and parent support doing home visits. Even during this pandemic, just making sure parents and students know how valued they are and how valuable their attendance is. So this is something that I do see focused on a very regular basis as a team at Beardsley. Another area of needed growth for us is our discipline data. Now this data here reflects the behavior data from the beginning of last school year through March of last school year. So that's what this data is showing us here. The left side of the screen is showing us the referral incidents by day. So as you can see, there was an increase from the 2018-19 school year to the 2019-20 school year in the number of incidents per day. Then the right side of the screen shows the percentage of referrals as it refers to the race of the student as identified by their parent and the student themselves. An area of needed growth is when you look at the data, not only the number of incidents per day of referrals, but also the proportion of students who are receiving referrals. You can see that while African American students make up about 25% of our population here at Beardsley, the incidence of referrals for students who identify as African American was closer to about 37%. So you can kind of see those trends there, and this is something that Beardsley is keeping a very close eye on, but not only that, taking action steps. Emily mentioned earlier our PACS programming, yes, and that leads into our social emotional learning, which is important for these areas of needed growth.
So with that, with what, going off of what Melissa just explained to us with that data, it leads us to, like she said, the social emotional learning. That's our focus area, number 3. And so what the data told us is she just she explained it. And so we'll just kind of, since, Melissa did a fantastic job of explaining it, we'll move down to our action plan. So, and she really explained that as well. So we've had a profound emphasis on attendance through home and school connections, home visits, phone calls, emails, posts on Facebook, seesaw messages, and our teachers are also using talking points to reach out to our Hispanic families. Our second one was explore ways to reinforce model attendees, and we've already had our first quarter and so far at for the month of November we've given out some awards for our model attendees. Third is establish social emotional learning leadership team to address culture and climate, which we've started with our equity team. We already have that in the works. And then finally, create a social, emotional, strategic plan, including vision, mission, goals, communication plan, and policy and procedure documents to support framework by May 2022. And we've started that. We've got the ball rolling with that with our equity team. And we know that we will be receiving more through, our consultants as well.
And through the district.
And through the district.
Mm-hmm.
For our last focus area, we focused on identifying our subgroups that were underperforming. So in this first chart, we have the African American population of our school. Beardsley is underperforming in both ELA and math, and we have a larger gap in the math side. Our second subgroup that we are working with is our special education. With this group, based on our data, we are performing lower in the ELA side. So with our identified subgroup,
Next one.
Our focus is to increase our cultural competency to provide a safe and supportive learning environment, which is responsive to our student level data. So we have noticed that our students in those two subgroups are not performing proportionately to Beardsley's other subgroups due to a lack of cultural competence among our Beardsley community. So our action steps are having a profound emphasis on achievement, growth, attendance, and behavioral data, looking at student by student for these two subgroups, using the MTSS team to create an action plan based on student by student data, and having our leadership engaged with excellence through our equity, and then continuing to be collaborative, having our equity work through our IUPUI leader.
Okay, so the last slide depicts, I think this kind of sums it up. And please note, this was taken pre-COVID days. Okay, this was pre-COVID. But if our mission is to help our students become active, responsible community leaders, I mean, we do have evidence right here in front of us that this is happening at Beardsley. These young ladies graduated in 2019, I believe, and they are leading their communities. So that is all we have tonight from Beardsley Elementary. We appreciate you very much, and we will take any questions.
Thank you, Val and team. Of course, Beardsley is close to my heart because many of you I know very, very well. And you are, not to sell anybody short, but you are spot on about hitting the mother lode with Shauna. And that is something that to have a parent that has children, and each of Shauna's children has just excelled in different areas, and the atmosphere that you provided, she not only is working towards a degree to continue on in our school system, but she is an example of what Beardsley does for their students and their parents. It goes on and on about the different levels that she's received from your school. So I really thank you guys. And I know that you had some information that you had to throw out of things that you need to grow, things that you need to do, but knowing the collaboration of your team and both Nicole and Val, the way that your staff speaks about you. And when the PLC first came out, it's my understanding that you were one of the first schools that were all in along review, not to sell any of the other schools short, but your team bought into it 100%. And so I think we're in a difficult situation, but I do believe that your goals will be easy to obtain with hard work, of course, but you're on track. So I'm really appreciative, and I'm particularly fond of you guys because I know about the hard work that you do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything?
Well said.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Have the best evening.
You too.
Okay, Bristol. Martha and Tim. Hi, Donna, by the way.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Good to see ya.
It's good seeing you too.
Good evening, everyone. This is Martha Strickler, principal at Bristol Elementary. I want to thank the board and all of you for the opportunity to spotlight Bristol to you this evening. It's a privilege, and we're looking forward to you learning a little bit more about Bristol Elementary. As you can see, we have quite a few members on our school improvement team, and for this reason, we also have an offshoot with a smaller group of teachers who serve on our guiding coalition. So we have broken down our our school improvement team a little bit so that we can have more impact and work together a little more closely with major decisions in the building with the guiding coalition. This evening, several members of the guiding coalition are included in our presentation. Mrs. Rita Walt, Mrs. Christy Haithcox, Mrs. Carol Freihofer, Mrs. Liz Gingrich, and Mr. Tim Pedley. Several of the members are here. We're working together from Bristol Elementary this evening. Mrs. Haithcox is working from home, and she's going to be presenting from her home this evening. They're here to not only present, but also to keep me from being the active talker that I can be and prevent me from going over our time limit. So they're here to guide me through all of this. Tonight, we are highlighting information from the cultural audit that was conducted last March with Alex McNeese from Solution Tree, as well as our school improvement plan submitted to the state this past October. When we began working on our school improvement plan in August, we discussed the need to continue with our previous year's plan since we were unable to accomplish the goals set last year due to leaving earlier than expected, and because we lacked the data to support the goals within the plan, since we were unable to administer end-of-the-year assessments. As a follow-through, our school improvement plan for this school year consists of two main focus areas: academic growth for all students and building a professional learning community. We believe that these two go hand in hand. However, in addition to our goals within our school improvement plan, we are also working together with the initiatives of the district: SIOP training, trauma-informed care, SMECANS training, science inquiry training, piloting a training on bias and equity, and bringing in the new technology of ScoopPad and Jamboards. Needless to say, we are busy. However, our collective commitment to these goals is building wide, and all stems from the work we have been involved in these past 2 years. When I came on board in October 2018, Mr. Mao asked me to just keep the ship afloat and not let it sink. Well, after a few weeks and after attending several Solution Tree workshops, I realized that in order to not let this ship sink, several changes were needed. So here we are, 2 years later, committed to the success of all Bristol students and teachers and transforming the school culture to that of being a professional learning community. Becoming a professional learning community is how we do things at Bristol. This means deeper conversations about student learning, building a positive culture for student learning to take place, guiding teachers to become believers in all students can learn, and it affects everything we do in our building for students and teachers. It is the transformational process we truly believe in, and with fidelity to the process of collaborative teamwork and understanding what makes a professional learner community work, we remain confident we can make a positive difference for our students and teachers.
Hi guys, I'm Christy Haithcox. I teach 3rd grade at Bristol. I get the pleasure of sharing all of our strengths here at Bristol. I want to start by talking about our collective focus on the PLC process. Bristol teachers and staff see Bristol Elementary as a true professional learning community. It encompasses, like Martha said, everything we do, from our lesson planning to creating common assessments, And then we also use those assessments to plan interventions as well as extensions. Conversations have changed from simply just talking during our collaboration times to really analyzing student progress and their obstacles. Students' language has even also changed. We hear them getting excited about passing their common informative assessments. And we've also encountered students encouraging each other to continue passing those common informative assessments that they are taking. All of this is done to meet the needs of all of our students. We truly have an all hands on deck approach here at Bristol. One example of this is our specials teachers join us in our collaborations weekly, and they also join us in our interventions. So they are working with the students and teachers alongside of us. All of this is done, and a lot of it happened when we started doing a book study last year with using a book called Transforming School Culture by Anthony Muhammad. Lastly, I want to speak of our PLC coaching model that we began last year. We started this with Beardsley, alongside Beardsley, and we've developed the concept of collaborative team coaching. This is a pilot program that we started. There's 2 teachers from each building. They're grade level teachers. We've attended trainings through Solution Tree. We've also spent many hours collaborating with our principals to create an effective model for PLC coaching. As one of the coaches, I just wanted to quickly go over a few positives that I have experienced as being a PLC coach during this short time. One thing coaching has brought to our building is consistency among grade levels. We have shown consistency in unwrapping our standards, implementation and planning of our 15-day challenges, as well as our data collection. And each standard, we keep getting better and better. Coaching within the building has also lended itself to collective responsibility of student learning. The PLC collaborative teams that I'm on have had excellent discussions on effective instructional strategies. And because of how we're collecting our data, we can see if these strategies are truly effective. And as a coach, I get to share those strategies with other grade levels. Lastly, and personally what I see to be the most important of our PLC coaching is that we are truly here for our colleagues to provide clarity, feedback, and support however they need it. We truly feel that the PLC coaching model was a piece that was missing at Bristol, and it has really helped us a lot. As we continue to grow as PLC, we are excited to continue to see how our strengths are helping meet the needs of all of our students.
Thanks, Christy. I'm Rita Walt, excuse me, and I'm a 4th grade teacher here at Bristol. After we looked at our strengths and the cultural audit, we then identified 4 areas needing improvement and 6 of our next steps to continue our growth as a professional learning community. Under the areas of improvement, I'll be looking at a couple of those areas specifically. We believe in the professional learning community philosophy so much that when we were met with some very difficult challenges this year, we not only continued the process with math, but added reading standards as well. Teachers continue to meet in their collaborative teams, even though most of our grade levels have been split in half, with 1 virtual teacher and 1 hybrid teacher. This has caused us to get creative while still adhering to the beliefs of our professional learning community. Our biggest area for future growth is data analysis. We were collecting data, but only with regards to mastery or not. We were not looking at subgroups such as gender, race, or ethnicity. A uniform data collection form has recently been implemented. And now we are not only looking at final data for each essential standard, but the form helps us as teachers drill down our data to see which subgroups are in need of additional support. By looking at our essential standard data, we are then able to analyze our formative and summative assessments to see if there might be some form of bias in our questions. This is so exciting to me as a coach to be able to fine-tune our assessments and offer future professional development on assessment writing without bias, as well as professional development on examining our own biases and how those biases could be impacting our students. When we look at our area of concern, we have 1, which is basically our enrollment. We are optimistic that as the staff continues with the PLC process and students become more and more successful in their learning, families will once again want to attend and remain at Bristol Elementary for their education. Looking forward to our next steps, there are just a couple of those that I would like to highlight. I'm excited about our commitment to foster teacher leadership in our collaborative teams and ultimately train collaborative team leaders for each team in our building. Teachers are taking a much larger role in professional development with teacher-led trauma-informed care, writing assessments with rigor, the PLC process, and unwrapping essential standards professional development sessions. One final area I would like to touch on is that of celebration. We celebrate our students and their mastery of concepts and are transitioning to celebrating our collaborative teams as well. There's a lot of hard work ahead of us, but we are all heading in the same direction with the professional learning community philosophy at the helm.
Thanks, Rita. I'm Tim Pedley, the Academic Dean here at Bristol, and Martha's reminded me to speak slowly. She hears me complaining that I can't get an order taken at McDonald's drive-thru because of my accent. So hopefully we don't need any translators tonight. So our NWEA data from 2019-20 tells us that less than half of our students are meeting their grade level norms. Looking at student growth for NWEA, in 2018-19, less than half of the students were making their expected growth for both math and reading. But when we look at 19-20 in the growth from fall to winter, we started making some stronger growth, particularly in math. And that was the area that we'd asked our teams to focus on for their essential standard work. So that's just a small encouragement for us that we're actually on the right track with our commitment to this PLC process. Digging deeper into NWEA data, some of our primary grade levels are really struggling, especially when it comes to reading, both in terms of achievement and their student growth. So our data suggests some inconsistencies too when it comes to gender and race. Our Island data from 2018-19, we have here, we didn't have any testing data from last year since we didn't test, but we have the performance over on the left, and we've got the growth for Island on the right. So it basically parallels what we've been seeing in NWA, that the students are not getting there in terms of their achievement and in their growth. So approximately half of the students are making that achievement, hitting those achievement norms, and they're not making the growth that they need to, especially those lower performing students. So we need to really be assessing our interventions and checking how we're intervening for these kids, assessing the effectiveness of that, and making sure that we're providing interventions that are really going to make the difference for these struggling students. If you next look at our iRead data, we took a hit in 2018-19 with our pass rate for iRead. We didn't think this was necessarily down to our third grade team, but more about the students coming to them lacking some of those foundational skills, something that we've already touched on. So our data confirms that we need to keep committing ourselves to the PLC process. Despite the limited time that we've been implementing it, we've seen glimpses of the difference it can make, but we need to be applying it to both reading and math going forward. Our tier 1 instruction has to be focused on the right work, and it needs to be more rigorous, particularly for our lower grades. And we're currently putting tools into the hands of our teachers to help them regularly disaggregate data and ensure they're providing equitable learning opportunities for all students.
Thank you, Tim. I'm Liz Gingerich, the primary mild disabilities teacher, and I'd like to talk about our first goal of reading. In order to ensure all students demonstrate growth and achievement, collaborative teams will work on identifying and unwrapping essential standards in reading. We're looking at ways to implement and utilize SMECN's reading strategies in our Tier 1 and Tier 2 reading instruction. Teachers are also implementing guided reading during their small group reading times. Our primary grades have begun focusing on using the dyslexia data and to identify areas of weaknesses and concerns on individual students and how they can use that information to help them drive their small group reading instruction.
Thank you, Liz. I am Carol Freihofer, and I teach third grade. I will be presenting Goal 2 Math. At Bristol, we are in our second year of the PLC process with 6 essential math standards determined by grade levels. This year, we are focused on the rigor of our formative and summative assessments and looking for any possible gaps that need to be addressed in our instruction. Teachers are applying error analysis on the formative assessments to create intervention groups with a goal of 85% student proficiency. ScootPad is being incorporated primarily on e-learning days with assignments geared toward the essential standard. Lastly, PLAN, which is an acronym for Prepare, Look, Act, Nearly Done, is used at all grade levels twice a month and provides our students practice with a strategy to solve real-world problems.
Finally, I'd like to talk about Goal 3, our professional learning community. As we continue to grow as professional learning communities, we want to focus on improving and growing our instructional strategies and practices through creating rigorous common informative assessments and common summative assessments in reading and math that align with our essential standards. As was mentioned earlier, we are using a new data collection sheet to analyze disaggregated data to drive our instruction to meet the needs of all students, but especially looking at those who are struggling and have gaps that may exist within other groups. The implementation of the coaching model has resulted in PLC teams having effective discussions centered around strategies, instructional practices, and assessments that will have a positive impact on our student learning.
I want to thank everyone who presented this evening. You did a wonderful job. Thank you very much. And at this time, we're happy to entertain any questions that you may have for us from the board members.
I'd just like to add, thank you very much for the time, the effort. Exercises like this will show great achievement, but also will let you know what still needs to be achieved. I think you guys have outlined that well. I do like to note at the end of the presentation where it says Bristol Elementary has kept the vision, mission, and commitment from 2019 and 20, although they've been kept but slightly adjusted. I recognize that, the board recognizes that. We understand that 19 and 20 has been a complete curveball. And you guys have not only slightly adjusted, I think you've adjusted very, very well. And so we're very appreciative that you're going to keep these visions and missions in line and re-examine them in the fall. But thank you for all the hard work you've done with the circumstances as they present themselves.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the board members for your support. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
And Martha, real quick, I want to just say, Martha, you left?
No, I'm here.
Martha, where did you
I'm
go?
here.
Okay, so one of the things that I clicked on one of the slides is I saw in the corner, it said your discipline has been split in half, which, I mean, I know we have less students, but like that's a compliment on that. Did I catch that on one of the slides, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
then,
it has cut in half.
That was you before last year.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know what you want me to comment on. Yes, the discipline has cut in half.
But also, so Mrs. Walt's excitement was amazing, the way that you guys have put the PLC, but something that of course, like here's another school that I'm close to, a lot of the staff that, work for you and for Tim, and things that Dr. Higginson, as she's getting to know the school and getting to know, the staff that's there, here's some of the things that kind of came out when they knew that you were going to be presenting. Your paraprofessionals wanted to make sure that one of the comments that was made that they bought into the PLC too, and they appreciate the respect that the staff and leadership and teachers give to them and how valued they feel in the role that they're playing and helping with all of the students. And then all the way to your secretarial staff that is so involved in making sure that they're calling the parents and checking on attendance, which that was like my key question to you guys. What is your biggest problem? Of course, we're finding out with every school it's attendance. But I think like for all of us to know and hear that your staff is out there in the public speaking about how valuable the work is that's being done inside of your school. And it starts with the leadership, Martha. So I compliment you and your whole leadership team. And that's it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. One of the comments that we made, and actually at the very beginning of the year when we first met with the staff, we talked about what is our story. And it was interesting that later on we attended workshops and sessions and we heard this come up. But prior to that, at the very, very beginning, when we met, we talked about the professional learning community that we wanted to create and build here. And that PLC goes far beyond just having data team meetings and grade levels getting together. It is the culture that you create, and that's why it goes hand in hand with student learning. So it's very important to us, and we talked about it being our story, and that's what we wanted our community to hear. So that's good to hear that it's actually happening. Thank you.
Did anybody end up winning your Survivor Challenge?
Not yet. This coming week, we're going to be, or next when we return, it's going to be Chopped. We're going to have a Chopped contest where they are going to, just like Chopped on TV. It's really a lot of fun,
I have to tell you that has changed a lot of the spirit in your school, and that came from that came from your cafeteria staff that told me about that. So that's kind of cool. All right, good. Well, happy Thanksgiving, you guys. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. Thank you.
All right, see you later. Okay, Pinewood. Shavonda, I saw you. There you are.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting Pinewood to present to you. We are very honored to present to the board. This would be my very first board presentation, and I am excited to do so. So I have a team here that is going to help me with this presentation. But to begin, I want to show you a little video of our team.
Hi, I'm Erin Keeney. I am one of the kindergarten teachers at Pinewood. I am also part of the Guided Coalition team, as well as one of the site coordinators for the 21st Century Before and After School clubs.
I'm Andy Skipham. I'm in the 5th grade at Pinewood Elementary School. I am on the Guided Coalition. I was on the hiring committee for a new academic dean, and I work with the PLC team for the 5th grade.
Hi, I'm Janice Fuller, part of the 2nd grade team, and I am a member on the Guided Coalition.
Hi, I'm Katie Wilson. I teach 6th grade, and I serve on the Guiding Coalition team.
My name is Wendy Armour, and I'm a 1st grade teacher at Pinewood, and I'm also a member of our Guided Coalition committee. And we have decided that we would like input from other staff members in our building. So we have formed a subcommittee for our school improvement planning, and we are using the CNA process for this. Those members are going to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Peggy Zimmerman. I'm a 1st grade teacher at Pinewood Elementary, and I serve on our school improvement team.
My name is Pauline Ranking, and I'm the speech pathologist at Pinewood. I serve on the school improvement team and Guiding Coalition.
Hello, I'm Holly Powell. I'm a 3rd grade teacher, as well as a member of the TIC team, the school improvement team, and Guiding Coalition. And I'm also a parent to 2 Pinewood students.
Hi, my name is Michelle McClintock. I teach 4th grade at Pinewood, and I serve on the Guided Coalition and the school improvement team.
My name is Carrie. I am the music teacher at Pinewood Elementary School, and I am a proud member of the Guiding Coalition and school improvement team.
Hi, my name is Deanna Foster. I work
at Pinewood Elementary as a special ed paraprofessional, and I serve on the school improvement team. I also have 2 children who attend Pinewood. They are in 3rd grade and 5th grade.
So as you can see, our team is pretty large, and it's because we wanted to make sure that we have representation from all of the different areas within our school. And tonight you will also be able to meet the newest member of our team, which is our academic dean, and her name is Beth Hahn. So you will be able to get to know her a little bit tonight, but we're going to start our presentation with our mission, our vision, and our collective commitment, and Holly Powell will present that.
Thank you, Trevonna. It is the mission of Pinewood Elementary to inspire all students to be the best versions of themselves. We do this through high expectations, challenging curriculum, and a nurturing school climate. Our vision at Pinewood is everyone learning, everyone achieving. For this, or for Pinewood staff, this really means everyone, the students, the staff, constantly learning and growing together. For our collective commitments, we have identified 8 commitments that we believe will help us reach our long-term goals. To highlight some of these, they include listening to the concerns of our students' families, addressing their needs by providing resources, strategies, and information to help our students be successful. In addition, the Pinewood staff has agreed to implement the PLC process. We've agreed to do this with fidelity. We are currently working together to develop and implement common formative assessments, as well as break down our standards. And you'll hear more about this work later on.
Hi, many strengths were identified through the cultural audit of Pinewood Elementary. Pinewood is a student-centered building. The entire staff works to ensure the emotional, physical, and academic well-being of every child. Students know they are loved and safe as they enter our doors and are greeted by Pinewood staff and connect virtually with a teacher each day. In the PLC process, the teachers meet weekly to analyze data and develop instructional practices for both Tier 1 and Tier 2 instruction. Student learning is enhanced through our 21st Century Clubs. As a staff, we continue to work on improving our lines of communication and honing our PLC process. Everyone at Pinewood Elementary is committed to making students academically and career ready for the challenges of the future.
So when we start looking at our data, we looked at our iLearn data, our iRead data, and within those areas, we looked at our subgroups, our discipline, and our attendance data. So highlights of our data is in 2019, our iLearn told us that we were above the district and the state average at 47%, our 5th graders were. And our 3rd and 5th grade were above the district and the state average in math. 3rd being at 60% and 5th at 57%. We are also very proud of our 3rd grade team who always work very diligently. They work hard to get our 3rd grade ready for the iRead. So sometimes they come to us in 3rd grade with gaps, but our 3rd grade team has really learned how to hone in on those gaps. And because of that, we consistently produce an 86% or better passing rate on iLearn. Our attendance and discipline data, we kind of think of this using a coaching model. So as you can see, our attendance is starting to improve, but we still have currently 23% of our students are considered chronically absent. And if you look at our discipline, last year we had 104 referrals and 25 out-of-school suspensions. Now, when we dig deep into that and we keep on that coaching model, we know that we have to coach our kids so that they will stay in school. We are coaching the behavior, and we also want to engage them so that they want to be in attendance for us. And so we are working hard on our attendance as well as our discipline data.
Here you can clearly see our areas to improve. We are showing 40% of our 3rd to 6th graders having proficiency in English language arts, whereas 48% of our 3rd to 6th graders are showing proficiency in math. Now, what the data has showed us is that boys are outperforming girls when it comes to math, whereas the girls are outperforming boys when it comes to English language arts. So that is something that we do want to address going forward in trying to close that gap.
At Pinewood, our goal has always been to help students become the very best version of themselves, including being academically, physically, and emotionally fit. And so as we backwards planned from that end result, from that goal, we discovered 3 areas in the culture audit that pinpointed our next levels of focus. And the first one being offering a challenging curriculum, and that incorporates perfecting our Tier 1 instruction so that we have at least 80% of our students mastering that standard the first time it's presented. And our mission statement says that we want to have students at school, we want to provide an environment, and we want to hold them to a high standard. And so getting kids here is the way that they are allowed then to receive this amazing instruction. And then we want to look at our equity training and biases and make sure that we eliminate anything that might exist so that we can have a nurturing environment that makes academics accessible to all of our students.
Pinewood has 3 goals that we are focusing on achieving. Our first goal is to increase the percentage of students showing proficiency on the English language arts iLearn from 40% to 45% by the spring of 2020. Our second goal is to continue all of our hard work on the PLC process. Each professional learning community is identifying at least 8 essential reading standards that we are unpacking and creating common formative assessments for that are measuring student growth and monitoring our SMART goals. And our last goal at Pinewood is to have all the teachers participate in equity professional development. This is allowing us to continue cultivating our skills and understanding all of our students. With this professional development, we hope to see our iLearn growth points domain increase 10 points from a 90.7 to a 100.7.
So that leads us to our action plan, and we have a pretty bold title called So What, Now What? And that stems from a principal named Linda Clyett Wayman, and she's a principal of Strawberry Mansion High School in Philadelphia. And she has 3 slogans that she lives by, and one of them is So What, Now What? So we have the data, we know our subgroups, we know kids that we need to target, so what are we going to do with that? And so that leads us to our action plan. She also she has another slogan that says, if you are going to lead, lead. That's a message for principals. And so that continues to remind me why I do not stay in my office, why sometimes I am hard to find. And it also talks about, it also helps me understand that sometimes as a leader, I have to make decisions that is not always popular. And one of the things that we think about when we first began our journey of how to really target instruction, we had to look at our Tier 1 instruction. We looked at what we were doing and why we were doing it, and we realized that we really didn't have a guaranteed and viable curriculum. So we began to unwrap the standards, and that is the process that we are continuing to do. We also now have a universal strategy that we can all talk about. We have common language amongst teachers and amongst students. And so in our Tier 1, we are also using our SMECN strategy. Another one of Linda's slogans is, she tells her students, if nobody told you I loved you today, remember I do, and I always will. That leads us back to our trauma-informed care, our social emotional learning, because we know that we have to develop relationships. If we go back to our data where we were talking about attendance, in order to get kids there and want to work for us and with us, we have to develop relationships. Also, if we have to understand our own biases, and we have to think about, why do I think this way, and understand how it fits in education. We also have to challenge those assumptions. And so that is why we're going to continue our equity training. And so we live by those 3 slogans of Linda: so what, now what? So we can continue to take what we know and build upon that so that our students are growing and so that they are learning.
So we thank you for this opportunity to talk a little bit about Pinewood. We're very excited about the direction that we're heading, and moving forward, we will continue to build relationships with students. We will work to engage and challenge our students academically and inspire them to be the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Do you have any questions for us?
Okay. Tavonda, thank you. Beth, it's nice to see you. And thank you very much. That was an excellent presentation. I really appreciated that. And I like the growth, and Rocky has a child there, so that's good. And
Grandchild.
grandchild. Oh, sorry, grandchild. Oh, I forget your grandpa. Thanks, you guys. That was an excellent presentation. I'm really appreciative. And Babette's giving you a thumbs up down there in the corner. Happy Thanksgiving, and looking forward to seeing you two collaborate and work together, and much success in the school. So thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, our final school.
Good evening, everybody. This is Carrie Anderson from Elkhart High School. And we're happy to be with you tonight at the tail end of these presentations. I will go ahead and present my screen. Just to make sure, can you guys see that okay?
Very good.
Okay. Let me go back to the beginning. So again, I am Carrie Anderson, proud executive principal of Elkhart High School. Needless to say, this has been a long journey for us. What you're going to hear from an exceptional group of teachers and administrators on a lot of hard work over the months as we've consolidated the 2 high schools into 1 high school. So lots of planning has went into this. It started a long time ago, actually, and I'm going to introduce the team. So we have multiple members. These all came from our individual school improvement teams at Elkhart Memorial and Elkhart Central. And then, of course, during the merger, we combined them. And we have Pamela Duff, an East Spanish teacher, Sarah Flagg, an East counselor, Tamara Gonzalez, an East Language Arts teacher, Aaron Hartman, a West Social Studies teacher, Alex Holtz, a West Math teacher, Allison Mikowski, a West counselor, Colleen Shook, a West Media Center specialist, Christina Warbianski, an East counselor, Latasha Bonds, a West assistant principal, Matt Warbianski, an East assistant principal, and then myself and Frank Surge, both principals. Like I said, this presentation, then we took this group and then we pared it down to more of a presentation group. So I am very honored, and we're very lucky to work with such great professionals in our district. So without further ado, I will introduce Mrs. Warbianski.
Hello, good evening. So as Mr. Anderson was saying, it was just about 1 year ago when the West and East met at the same table, and we started working to truly merge as 1 high school on an entirely different level. And our first task was actually to compose a unified vision and mission. What we began to realize early on was that these foundational elements were already written. It was just a matter of identifying the commonalities and forming one meaningful purpose for Elkhart High School. So we decided that words like community, pursuit of excellence, were all worth packing up and moving with us to form Elkhart High School's unified mission and vision. And our mission, the mission that we composed and we came up with is, the mission of Elkhart High School is to foster a community where all members are empowered to pursue academic and personal excellence. Our vision, Elkhart High School cultivates an academically challenging and dynamic learning environment characterized by the acceptance of differences and the promotion of individual and collective responsibility. The next step was to agree on collective commitments to align with our vision and mission. While we most definitely set out to develop a meaningful list of collective commitments that were functional, we did not anticipate, believe it or not, that it would spell out Elkhart. So it wasn't that we said, hey, let's spell out Elkhart, and then we worked from there. It happened and it occurred from the discussions that we had. And we realized with a little bit of resequencing, it indeed spelled out Elkhart. And I think that's kind of a fascinating fact of this whole process of collective commitments. And we echoed our vision and our mission and our collective commitments to our students with key words: excellence, literacy, knowledge, honor, adaptability, relationships, and tenacity. And not only does it provide a reference tool, but we thought also that it really, when you step back and you look at it, it provides a very useful, functional list of commitments that we can consistently refer back to and use in everyday use with our interaction with students. And now I'll turn it over to Latasha to begin the areas of strength and growth for school PLC.
Elkhart High School has been working tirelessly to implement the PLC process with fidelity. We recognized right away that the PLC process was something that we had just been missing the fine tuning of. So we work diligently to implement with fidelity. And pre-COVID, you could see our departments from the different campuses meeting together to create and discuss, and now that's all virtual. So our departments continue to work on developing a viable, guaranteed and viable curriculum to ensure that our students are getting the foundation that they need to be successful as they matriculate through our school. And the PLC process definitely gives our teachers the opportunity to not only analyze, and I've heard that a lot tonight, not only analyze the data, but to create goals for students, to create and develop professional development for their departments. And this is all in hopes of creating students and helping them to learn and to be successful. With our areas of growth, as I said, we continue to work on our guaranteed and viable curriculum. And one area that we recognize right away is that we need to put an emphasis on developing those common formative assessments. We have some departments that are excellent and they do it without thought, but there are some departments that we just need to continue working towards developing those common formative assessments. To questions 3 and 4 of the PLC process has always been a place that we could see growth. And with that PLC process, we hope to increase interventions for students and creating those enrichments. Sometimes the kiddos who learn it right away are kind of set to the side because they are the kiddos who didn't learn. And so working through questions 3 and 4 of the PLC process will help us create those interventions, a process for interventions that could be implemented from all teachers. And lastly, working with our schools of study, it's important that we continue to use that PLC process to bring together the different departments and the different curriculum. So we'll use that PLC process to create strong curriculum for our schools of study. Next, we'll have Erin Hartman discuss the comprehensive needs assessment.
Hi, so thanks, Latasha. I'm going to sort of echo a lot of things already that Carrie and Christina and Latasha have talked about, in that when we looked at our comprehensive needs assessment, we saw that the two schools that we were merging actually had far more things in common than we necessarily realized. You know, we've kind of been operating in our bubbles on either side of town. And when we actually came together and took a hard look at the data, we found that we did have some common areas of growth, as well as some common needs. In short, you know, like Christina mentioned, we are Elkhart, and it's been a great process of sort of embracing what's coming from both sides of town to create something new and exciting. So we looked at a lot of data. We actually spent several months actually combing through the data, because we were sort of mining through all of that information from both Elkhart Central and Elkhart Memorial. So the data that we looked at included data on literacy and English language arts. We looked at graduation rates as well as failure rates, student discipline data, the types of diplomas that we were awarding to students, as well as student attendance data. So good news first, the areas of strength included our graduation rate. So for the last several years, both high schools have had graduation rates above 90%, which is a testament to all of the hard work that's happening, not just at our buildings, but at the buildings, you know, the middle schools and elementaries that the kids are at before they get to us. More kids are being more successful, and that's been a huge area of growth and strength over the last few years. And 2020 was no exception. We continue to see growth in that area. A second area of strength included the diploma types. So there are 3 different types of diplomas that students can earn. There is Core 40, which is sort of the requirement that students come in on. They can also do a Core 40 with academic honors. And then historically, there's been a general diploma. And as the state has moved us more towards a holistic approach to high school graduation that has several different pathways, the focus has been on getting more students to that Core 40 and honors diploma level, and we've had a lot of success in that area. We've also greatly expanded and improved our college and career pathways and readiness. There are all kinds of opportunities for kids to take dual credit, either through the early college program or Ivy Tech or Indiana University. We have a number of classes that offer career and technical education credits, and so moving into the schools of study, we also feel like that focus continues to play to an area of strength for us. If you want to go on to the next one, the next slide. Okay, so our areas for growth that we found, and again, this was easy to see once we dug into the data across town, from across both campuses. We want to see increased attendance rates, which we believe will encompass a lot of the other areas that we might want to work on. If we get the kids in school, then that takes care of a lot of the problems. We want to also increase in-person and virtual student engagement. So not just getting the kids to school, but also doing a better job of engaging them, whether that's currently 100% virtual or whether that's in person once we're back to hybrid. We also want to increase credit attainment, make sure that kids are on track from their freshman year forward, not playing catch up with credit recovery as they near the finish line, but rather making sure that they're on track all the way through. So when we looked at all of this data, our growth as well, our areas for growth as well as our strength, We felt that they were all fairly closely related to each other. And so therefore, the goals that we came up with were designed to support improvement across the board for those, particularly for those areas of growth. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt Orbianski, who's going to tell you a little bit more about our goals and action plan.
Okay, thank you very much, Erin. And thank you very much for the opportunity to present and to be a part of this auspicious group from Elkhart High School. We kind of merged this last slide, goals and action plan. And as you can see from the previous conversations, all of these things do tie together nicely and are interrelated. Our first goal, achieving a graduation rate of 90% or above for the 2020-2021 school year. Some broad strokes that we plan on to hitting pretty hard to try to achieve that goal is to increase our attendance rate. Attendance has been a common theme throughout a lot of the presentations this evening, and we want to do this through several different ways. We've established outreach committees where we have a group of teachers, paraprofessionals, and administrators who look at students with that have attendance issues, whether they're virtual or hybrid students. And now that we're all hybrid or all virtual students, we develop a list and we try to strategize ways to get those kids back in the fold and engaged with phone calls, with electronic communication, and with making home visits. So we're pounding the pavement to get the kids back in the fold, because if we can get them back in the fold, we think we can put them in a place to be more academically successful. And also to achieve that graduation rate of 90% or better, we want to increase the number of credits earned by students. We want to focus on credit recovery opportunities through the use of the APEX program, some online opportunities for students who have fallen behind in credits to be able to catch up on those credits. Looking also at teachers on how they grade students with a focus on mastery learning and some things associated with standards-based grading, which we'll pursue in the near future. We also have our school counselors who do a fantastic job as part of one of their PLC efforts is looking at students who we call lack of progress students, or students, especially seniors that have fallen behind, and looking at those students specifically and engaging in ways to try to come up with a plan to re-engage and bring those students back into the fold. And that's on a student by student basis. Our second goal is to support student engagement in e-learning. One of the things that we're going to look at this year, we're in the process of developing, is through the use of Canvas, which is the instructional platform that the high schools use, is helping teachers develop a common homepage in the Canvas platform, with high school students having multiple teachers. If we can aid teachers in developing that common homepage from which everything else instructionally lifts off, that might make that consistency might make it a little bit easier for those kids, and maybe even parents that are helping them to engage in their education, might make it a little bit easier for them to navigate. So we think that that'll be a positive step in the right direction. We also want to continue to provide resources. We on a weekly basis, administrators get what's called a Marshall Memo, and it's a synthesis of different educational research articles from across the country, and by synthesizing those that focus on increasing student engagement through e-learning, and how to make hybrid situations work, and looking at the electronic classroom, by providing those resources to teachers, we think that they'll be able to put more things in their toolbox to get more kids engaged in the e-learning process. And finally, on goal number 3, a lot of this stuff was said before. Latasha did a fantastic job of talking about professional learning communities, and our third goal, all 9 through 12 staff will actively participate in the PLCs in order to ensure that students achieve at high levels. The Friday e-learning days provide a great opportunity for PLCs to meet on a very regular, consistent basis, to start working on developing those common formative assessments and all of the other things that they need to do to help ensure that they're providing a guaranteed and viable curriculum and providing students the best opportunity to be successful. It does provide an opportunity for East and West to come together, and those PLCs from both sides of town to come together and to focus their efforts for the betterment of their students. So with that, that is a synthesis of our goals and action plans. And I will turn the microphone back to Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, everyone. Big shout out to Aaron and Latasha and Christina and Matt for helping with this presentation. They have done the lion's share, no, well, pun intended, of all the work for all these months as we continue to merge our processes together. And the school improvement plan and comprehensive needs assessment was a huge piece of our process. So again, we appreciate, board, the opportunity to present to you. Do you guys have any questions for the high school team?
I'd just like to say thank you, Terry, to you and your staff and to all the schools for taking time away from your family in these busy times to spend time with the board. You know, it's important that we check in and hear from all the schools to know the great things that are going on and your plans for success moving forward. So just thank you to everybody for participating in tonight's meeting. And if there's anything the board can help you to achieve greatness and excellence in all the schools, just let us know, because we're here to serve you.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Great job, everybody. Excellent job. Thank you. Well, you're this way. Thank you. Okay. All right. We are on to, yep, that's our new business.
Thank you. This evening, I want to start by presenting to you for your approval the Elkhart Career Center Agreement, which has been shared with all of our sending schools, and which they will be executing upon. Give you an opportunity to take a look at the sample agreement here. We are seeking your approval of this agreement this evening.
Move approval. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Okay, roll call.
Doug Weaver. Turn your mic on.
Doug, turn your mic on.
Yeah,
Great.
question. Which one are we approving first here?
Okay, we're on
Career Center Agreement.
Okay, all right. Aye.
Babette Bowling.
Aye.
Sue Diver.
Aye.
Troy Scott.
Aye.
Rocky Enfield.
Aye.
Carolyn Morris.
Aye.
Kelly Muller.
Aye. Okay.
All right. Next on the agenda, we completed negotiations with AFSCME Local 2925. AFSCME represents custodians, members of the custodial pool, our groundskeepers, and also the individual who drives our mail truck between all of our various buildings. That tentative agreement was approved by the custodians this past Saturday. It provides an across-the-board increase in all wages of 30 cents per hour, a change in the schedule of awarding additional vacation days, as well as changes in both the adoption leave language and jury duty/witness leave language. This is a reopener. Next year we would be entering into negotiations over full agreement, and tonight we're seeking your approval of the tentative agreement reached during the process of negotiations, and as noted, ratified by AFSCME this past weekend.
So moved.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Okay. You want to roll call?
Yep. Doug Weaver.
Aye.
Babette Bowling.
Aye.
Sue Diver.
Aye.
Troy Scott.
Aye.
Rocky Enfield.
Aye.
Carolyn Morris.
Aye.
Kelly Muller.
Aye. Okay.
We have a significant number of compensation plans which need your approval this evening. Those encompass compensation plans for our food service employees, custodians, hang on here a second so I can, mechanics, school bus drivers, bus helpers, maintenance employees, secretarial employees, executive assistants, technical assistants, registered nurses, social workers, employees in miscellaneous classifications, therapists, technical services employees, our permanent substitute teachers, and our licensed practical nurses. We have, the administration has met with all of those various employee groups, and copies of their revisions to their compensation plans are included in your packet this evening. Seeking your approval of those policies and asking that you waive second reading as to those particular policies. And after you vote on this, we'll turn to the paraprofessionals, as we know that one of our board members has a conflict, which would preclude him from voting on that particular compensation plan.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board?
I'd just like to add again that this is waiving the second reading.
Okay.
Doug Weaver,
Aye.
Babette Bowling,
Aye.
Sue Diver,
Aye.
Troy Scott,
Aye.
Rocky Enfield,
Aye.
Carolyn Morris,
Aye.
Kelly Mullin.
Aye.
And then finally, from me, we have proposed revisions to the compensation plan for paraprofessionals. Again, asking that you would waive the second reading and approve of those changes this evening.
Move approval to waive second reading.
Second the motion. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion from the board. Now, this is the one Doug did not vote on. Okay, all right, so we'll be called. Yeah, roll call.
Doug Weaver,
Abstain.
Babette Bowling,
Aye.
Susan Diver,
Aye.
Troy Scott,
Aye.
Rocky Enfield,
Aye.
Carolyn Morris,
Aye.
Kelly Mullin.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you on behalf of all of our employees.
And more to come, hopefully.
Well deserved.
Yeah, well deserved, very well deserved.
Okay, 4 items, but we'll move fairly quickly. The first is an annual resolution that I bring to you that just allows us to run a software program that realigns the appropriation dollars by account with actual expenditure. It doesn't change any expenditure or our budget amount. So with that, Madam President, I would ask for approval of this resolution as presented.
Motion?
So moved. And second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion from the board.
Doug Weaver,
Aye.
Babette Bowling,
Aye.
Sue Diver,
Aye.
Troy Scott,
Aye.
Rocky Enfield,
Aye.
Carolyn Morris,
Aye.
Kelly Mullin.
Aye.
Great, thank you. The next item is informational. This evening, I'd like to present the financial report. The October 2020 account balance, investment balance is $25,679,458.59. As you look at the detail for the education fund and the operations fund, we are still running ahead of last year, and that's what was a driver behind Mr. Thorne's presentation and our discussions previously. One thing I'd point out is food service is still an item that we need to keep an eye on. The negative balance grew significantly in October, but it was a 3-pay month. Mr. Thorne and Mr. Gianesi and myself and Pam Melcher continue to work with InFocus. We're looking at software vendors right now that not only have a point of sale, but an inventory control piece that we don't currently have, which we believe will help us. So continue to work to try to improve that situation. That concludes my comments on financial report for the evening. In terms of the insurance report, you can see that in October we performed worse than we did for current month last year. However, on a year-to-date basis, we're still ahead of last year in terms of total claim cost, which is $6,813,000. If you look all the way back to 2017, January through October in that year, our total claim cost was $8,974,295. So the last 3 years, we've been very blessed with that type of performance. So, are there any questions on the financials? And then the final item that I have this evening is, because the insurance plan has been performing well, I am once again coming to you asking for approval to provide a one-time premium holiday that would occur on the second day in December. And as you may recall, a few months ago when we did this, it's about $150,000 total this requirement. So with that, Madam President, I would ask for a motion to approve this request.
So moved.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Okay.
Doug Weaver,
Aye.
Babette Bowling,
Aye.
Sue Diver,
Aye.
Troy Scott,
Aye.
Rocky Enfield,
Aye.
Carolyn Morris,
Aye.
Kelly Mullen.
Aye. All right, thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Yeah,
Okay.
always.
So for the past several months, the One High School Committee has been working with JPR, their local engineering firm. They are based in South Bend and Elkhart, to develop a conceptual plan budget for a capstone project on this campus, the Elkhart High School campus. The project would include the creation of a new, larger bus drop-off area and drop-off and pickup area in place of the existing softball fields, new paving to improve vehicular circulation around the campus, construction of above-ground fuel storage tank farm on the north end of the Kent Street property that would serve all of our buses and all of our white fleet, which we refer to as basically the non-buses, the pickup trucks, the plow trucks, dump trucks, etc. And construction of an 1,800 square foot addition on the south side of the existing transportation office, which include new restrooms, new entry, and conference and office space. So tonight, the One High School Committee, in conjunction with the business office, recommends to the board that we proceed with this project using JPR as our engineer architect of record and request board approval to proceed with the design and construction. If approved, we intend that construction would begin basically in April, around spring break, and the site circulation improvements would be completed by July 31st. We really need the bus and site improvements done first. And then the above-ground fuel storage tanks and small addition would hopefully be completed by the end of the year. And if approved, this project, which has a budget of $5.3 million, would be funded from a bond that would be sold around on Mr. Scott's timeline, which is usually around May or June. Right.
We would sell bonds in May and close in June.
And we would call it the Elkhart High School Campus Master Plan. So at this time, I ask for board approval to proceed with this project.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Discussion from the board?
Are there, the relocation of the softball fields, and is that cost included in the?
It is not, because at this time, the athletic directors have informed me that we would continue to use the softball field at East.
That was my follow-up question.
Yeah, we do have a budget. It's nearly $2 million to relocate those. That's in today's dollars. And we do have the space to do that north of where they currently exist. But at this time, we don't feel like we need to pursue that.
Any other discussion?
Doug Weaver,
Aye.
Babette Bowling,
Aye.
Sue Diver,
Aye.
Troy Scott,
Aye.
Rocky Enfield,
Aye.
Carolyn Morris,
Aye.
Kelly Mullen.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay. Is there anything on the? One virtual? Okay. Okay. Carrie.
don't arm me for laughing.
No.
Good evening, Carrie Mullet, Elkhart Teachers Association, 19781 County Road 1. If I were to choose one word to best describe 2020, that's not a tough word. I think angsty might be the best descriptor. Like many of you, I receive regular emails, phone calls, text messages, and an onslaught of comments directed toward me via Facebook. I rarely hear from colleagues when they are content. Rather, I hear from them the most and at the loudest volume when they are angsty. On Friday afternoon, Dr. Tellheimer sent out a notification regarding the change to virtual learning for our high school students and staff. I was aware of the reasons for this decision, and I know it wasn't made lightly. Due to positive COVID results and a multitude of staff who are under quarantine, it is getting harder and harder to maintain a safe and orderly environment in most buildings. 3 elementary schools have experienced a staff shortage recently, and it only seems logical that the same issue is now extending onto our high school campuses. Tonight, I thought it was important to share the points of view that were shared with me. I want to make sure that you know that not all teachers feel exactly the same way, and not all teachers are upset for the same reason. It is also important to publicly acknowledge that not all are upset. However, way too many are angsty. I noticed 3 common themes in the messages I've been receiving. The first theme I would describe as, that's not fair. For example, I hear high school teachers will get to teach virtually, and that's easier than hybrid. High school teachers will not have to be exposed to potential infection, and that is unfair to the rest of us who won't have that protection. High school teachers will be able to quarantine, and so they'll be able to interact with their families during the holidays. The next theme could best be titled, That's Not What the Plan Says. These messages refer to pages 12 and 13 of the reentry plan, where it states substantial spread in our community equates to virtual learning for all, not just high schoolers. Since our county has been labeled red, some teachers feel the reentry plan is a farce because the action steps listed for our current conditions aren't being followed. The third trend I noticed is the theme of it's not safe. That one is fairly self-explanatory, but I'd like to add a little clarification. It's been said that the high school campuses aren't being closed due to a health concern, but rather an issue of staffing. These closings will help fill the gaps of other staff shortages in our district. However, this still illustrates the huge health risks employees are facing. Whether a staff member tests positive or simply in quarantine, out of an abundance of caution, the number of absences is dramatically rising, and this is once again causing a lot of angst. Putting all of these other themes aside, I've come up with my own that I would respectfully ask the board to consider called It's Not Wise. I have zero doubt that our entire district will move to 100% remote learning within the next couple of weeks. The data is clear, COVID will create this end result whether we like it or not. However, is it wise to wait for the villain of 2020 to close their school buildings? Or would it be wiser to show the same proactive approach that Elkhart's been modeling the entire region for some time now? If you choose to take the wait-and-see approach and don't respond proactively by moving everyone to virtual learning, you will be causing irreparable harm to morale and break the trust that has grown between you and the staff. You said we have to take care of the people who take care of our community's children. Your teachers are filled with angst. Please take care of them by putting their health and safety as a top priority. Several people wanted to give their own personal messages, and so I said I would deliver them to you. So I have paper copies, and I will give them to Susan. If you're online, she can scan and email them, but I promised that I would bring you some personal messages. So thank you.
Okay, Julie.
I don't have a prepared speech, but I just want to say thank you for not closing our schools. Thank you for letting people who want to send their kids to school still have that option. Thank you for letting the teachers who signed up to teach hybrid still have that option. My principal had to sit with me for 30 minutes on Friday and talk me off the ledge because I'm being forced to teach virtually. I don't want to do it. It's not fair to me that I signed up to be hybrid and I'm being forced to go virtual. So I want to thank you for staying on course. It's clear that it's not being spread within the schools. There's less than a 2%, last I checked, correlation with our positive and close contacts. So the community cannot put it on the school district's shoulders to stop it when
restaurants are open, when churches are open, when everything else is open. Closing schools will do nothing. So thank you for staying on course and realizing that our schools are doing the right thing and allowing those who want to be hybrid stay hybrid. We have one online.
Yes. I will call him right now, and he'll, I'm going to call him 30 seconds behind, and he can land.
We have to wait for them. He's calling. We'll take a minute. I'm taking
The
it.
person that he's calling is Jeff.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yep, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. First, I want to just reiterate that, one of the misconceptions about our virtual plan for the high schools is that we did not go virtual because we don't have enough staff to keep them open. We are having our staff being utilized across the district to help with staff shortages that existed prior to school even beginning this year, and then have been exacerbated by other circumstances. The spread of COVID is not happening within our school system. Based on recent numbers, we have a 2.4% positivity rate for our close contacts, which means we're keeping that rate low when we do have close contacts and not becoming susceptible and getting the virus because of what we're doing to mitigate it within our school system. Our total population positivity rate between students and staff is 1/3 of our community rate. One of the problems with all virtual learning is that mental health declines, especially for our kids, because of isolation, not having consistent interaction with the public, with their peers. A good percentage of our students are not mature enough. They don't have the capacity of the required self-motivation to succeed with all virtual learning. And I would even add that, most adults don't have that capacity. So we can't ask our students to do that either. We saw the evidence of it last spring, and we were just lucky we were able to do a pass-fail rate. Students fall through the cracks due to teacher overload and how easily students can hide behind a blank screen and we don't know what's going on with them. Teacher mental health declines as well. Our staff, teachers, support staff has all been trained and honed their skills for years on nonverbal reactions of students to help guide our lessons and check for understanding. And virtual forces everyone to take the I'm okay responses at their face value, and the reality of those is that they're probably much different. Stability of not knowing when we return weighs heavily on everyone, most especially on our kids. A student had the saddest look after learning about going virtual until January 19th and said, that's what they said last time. So that uncertainty really is truly weighing on them. There's a genuine concern from them. The shutdown turns into last spring when they never came back. I was subbing for a class period on Monday for a teacher who was out, and I was explaining the situation to the class, answering questions, and I did make the comment, hybrid's obviously not a perfect model. It's not what we want, and a student responded that it's better than e-learning. E-learning means that I'll fail. And that statement, the student speaking that I will fail because of e-learning, was a striking reminder of the power of thought. Whether you think positively or negatively, you can think it into existence. And an all virtual climate becomes very dark for the kids in Elkhart. It's just reintroducing trauma to our hybrid students who chose in-person instruction because they need it, not because they just want it, but because they need it. We're lucky our kids in our house have two parents who are teachers. We're heavily involved, and we still have a difficult time getting them to complete their work. So you can only imagine what it's like for students who don't have that type of support system at home without their school staff. ECS is doing what it can in the community. We're helping, providing resources, but even during normal schooling, we see kids slip through our fingers and 100% virtual simply strengthens every negative opponent that education has when working with kids, and they become nearly insurmountable. It's human nature, even more so in young people, to gravitate towards and invest in those who show them they truly care about them. And virtual learning takes that ability from all of us and robs the kids of what can sometimes be life-changing relationships. So thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for your time tonight, and I wish everyone a restful break and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Thank you. From the superintendent?
As anyone can imagine, the decisions that we came to as a leadership team for needing to change were not easy ones to come by. And we had several conversations and simply had arrived at a place where what's happening in our community is imposing upon us in a school district in a way that makes it impossible for us to continue. We first saw that in a couple of our elementary buildings and have been able to do that, but what really was doing it were the high numbers of students and then staff who were positive, and the staff numbers that were happening at our high schools. And that's the reason for the move that we made. I have had some people indicate that in making the choices that we have with our elementary students and our middle school students still in session, is that in some way I or others care about those instructional and support staff in those buildings less. And I just have to stress that that is the furthest thing from the truth, and all of these decisions are not easy. Our hybrid plan in having people spaced out, and again, even with the increase of positive cases in our buildings, those number of close contacts are remaining incredibly low. And the proportion of those close contacts to positives, that ratio remains incredibly low. So if we are in session and we're abiding by what's in the hybrid plan, I do know that in our original plan, we had indicated that there would be virtual instruction if we would move to red, and that was our own color coding system. But I recall during those times and since, when people have asked what is red, and I believe Mrs. Bowling even asked this question at one point, what is red and what does that mean? And my response then has always been that we would move to virtual instruction for one of two reasons. One would be is that the county would tell us that virtual instruction would be the way to go and would order us to shut down, or we would arrive at a place where our buildings were not able to function due to staffing. And I've been very consistent in that message and the message from the team. The county has not, even though we're in red and have been red for 2 weeks, there is no countywide order. There is no order of any kind coming for schools. So it is left upon us to decide. And because of those contacts being low and the rates being low, it is driven by staffing. As I said in my message to the community, it relies upon supplies, space, and staffing. And we have the supplies, we have the space due to hybrid. It's a staffing issue. And I understand people's anxiety. I understand all of that. But for the reasons that were outlined in the call, for our youngest learners and our most vulnerable learners, we have to make sure that we can try to stay in session as long as we can. Given that, Oslo Elementary will be returning on Monday after their hiatus of being closed. Woodland would be returning on December 7th. In the email that I sent to the board and administrators today, Hawthorne Elementary has moved to virtual for the next 2 weeks because of staffing and potential outbreak from a positive case of a student that would impact several people. So that is, again, we're trying to be very strategic and look at those on a building by building case. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that November 18th was the deadline for people to make their requests of what they wanted to do second semester. And We had almost 350 students make a request to move from hybrid to virtual, and just a little over 400 students choose to go from virtual to hybrid. So it's a difference of about 60 students in an increase of going to the hybrid plan across the district. Many of the people choosing to go virtual on balance were at the high school level, and then it was kind of evenly divided among our buildings of choosing to go more virtual or more hybrid in those changes. By developmental level, our elementary students are 70% hybrid and 30% virtual. Middle schools are about 65-35, and high schools are 62-37. So again, when we're looking at the group that would be best able, not by any shot the absolute best suited, but the most able to deal with being on a virtual setting, looking at our staffing across all components of administrators, instruction, support, and even transportation and food service, that is the reason that we made the move that we did with virtual for the high school. The final thing I would say is that given all of the uncertainty of this year and all of the hard work that everybody's putting in from members of the district and building administrative teams, all the way down to people who are doing things that are not typically in their job description or beyond their normal job description, of spraying down buildings extra times or spraying down bus seats or tending to kids virtually. All of those things, I know that people have put in a ton of extra time and a ton of extra effort and a ton of extra angst. And I know that and appreciate that. And especially this week of Thanksgiving, want to express my gratitude to everyone on staff for everything that they're doing at a time that is, we know, not easy and not made easier by choices that are being made out in the broader community.
From the board?
Yeah. Again, this year I'm able to do real men read, and being an employee of the school system, I am able to go into the school and read in person in the class. I read to a kindergarten class and I read to a first grade class at Pinewood School. And yesterday and today, because of the split schedule, I went into both classes and I asked all the kids, were they glad to be back from the shutdown that Pinewood experienced? At least 90% of the kids were thrilled to be back in school. It is so important for our youngest learners that they be in school. Is it an ideal situation? No. I had an extensive conversation with one of the teachers of he's a sixth grade teacher at Pinewood today. And he's worried, he's scared. I understand, I get it. We all have angst. And it's not just in the education community, it's in our entire community. At all levels of business and private life, there's problems. This has been a horrible year, but it is so important for so many of our students, especially the young ones, to be in their safe place. And the school is their safe place. And I just think it's important that we do everything we can safely to keep the kids in school for as long as possible. The choice may be taken from our hand, either at county level or the state level. But if we can keep kids coming to school, we have to do it and do our best to keep the teachers safe at the same time. But for every teacher that's scared to come and worried and has valid concerns, there's also teachers that want to be there. And we have to balance the needs out of everybody. We can't do it based on one group of people. But I can tell you the students are glad to be in school when they're able to be there.
Kelly, I just want to end on something for Elkhart Education Foundation, if I could, please. There's something called Donate Joy this Christmas. We can't do the ugly sweater run. And what they've come up with is a goal of trying to earn $6,000 to provide 500 families with food boxes over the Christmas holidays. That distribution would be on Saturday, December 12th from 10 to 2 at Ethos. And if you can't give money, you can go to onecityonemission.org and donate. Or there's also a tab for volunteering so that we can pack the boxes and get those distributed. So we're just hoping that our community as a whole will help our most vulnerable families and help this great cause.
Thank you. And just, you know, going back onto what Rocky said and what Steve said, and, you know, for the staff, there is not one member on this board that is not praying for our school, praying for our staff, for our students. Nor do we not value every single one of them. And so there is no question about the trust or what we have with our staff. And so I feel like our plan is still very powerful in what we're doing. And it's heartbreaking for the high school students. It's very heartbreaking to see these children that we're seeing as young adults and trying to figure out what they do crying because they are confused and scared themselves, and they feel a very big void and not being able to be present and where they feel it's safe. So anyways, that's just, I think that we're still on a path of whatever it is, and what we can do to serve the ones that we represent is what we need to do, and that's not out of a lack of respect or value of any human. So with that, happiest Thanksgiving to all of you. Rest well, and I had a lovely meeting with you, Julia.
We all say happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving, and God bless you. Good meeting. Thank you.